Thank you.
You live.
Oh, welcome to the Empower Hour. I am your host, Hanifah.
And I'm AlQamar.
And we are here live with you today, as we are every Monday at 8 p.m. Today, we will be discussing, I was about to say cryptocurrency. No,
COVID and the black
COVID and the black dollar. Yes, thank you, AlQamar. And we have a special guest with us. If you guys have been with the Empower Hour from the beginning, I am sure you guys remember this face. None other than
this shirt.
the famous Dr. Baruch. Welcome, Baruch.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Welcome back, actually. I think we've had you on twice.
The program this evening. It's been a good little while since we were all together on one program.
Yes.
Here we are. COVID and the black dollar with Dr. Baruch, owner operator of Everlasting Life Vegan Restaurant and Lounge since 1990. You tickle me. We're talking tonight with Dr. Baruch about COVID and the black dollar.
Yes.
We felt he was important to come and talk to us about this because he deals with both on a daily basis. And with the owner and operator of 3 restaurants in the DC and Maryland area, he has some key insight, in dealing with us as a community in particular, and so, and where we are as it relates to money currently in this system and what all that looks like for the future as well. So I'm going to be quiet, let Dr. Baruch come in, just shed a little insight on who you are. I know I said some, but anything you wanted to add, and then we'll go back right into the question.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me this opportunity to come on to your platform and share with your audience something that I'm passionate about and have been passionate about for 30, 40 years now. And I think it's the collision of these two juggernauts. And one is health and wellness, and the other is economy. And I really feel like this is an hour for those of us that are in the health space, that are specifically focusing our energy on people of color. It's an opportunity for us to gain a position that we otherwise didn't have. And I think, and we're going to get into that, but there's a power move that I would like to see us transition into, so that we're not left in a space where we're just waiting on somebody else to tell us what to do next, or having somebody give us whatever resources they think we should have. I think it's time for us to take and make a power move and make an impact and have an impact on the future of our community and the health of our community and the financial health of our community.
So you just mentioned that people who are in the healthy, why is this such a good time for people who people who work in the field that you work in specifically?
Well, I have to include George Floyd in the conversation.
Okay.
Because COVID-19 and George Floyd created a collision. And the collision was we were being told by this COVID-19, this was back before the advent of the vaccine, that COVID-19 was affecting people of color, Black people, more so, and killing Black people more than it was killing other people. So all of a sudden, I started getting phone calls. I started getting knocks at my door. People started sending me information, asking questions. There was a whole, circus of people just wanting to figure out what to do. What do we do next? How do we move forward? What do we need to do? And so we became that resource, that community resource that we've always been, and I've always wanted us to be. We were able to establish ourselves in even a stronger way as a community resource to a community of people that up until this point had disregarded health and well-being. I'm gonna die from something anyhow, and whatever time I'm supposed to leave here, well, I have no control over that. So I'm just going to enjoy myself. And all of a sudden you saw people getting afraid and being concerned. But with that fear and concern, they began to feel empowered. Doc, what can I do? Well, now all of a sudden, because that's not a position that we oftentimes take. We many times are looking at, well, what's the government going to do? And what's the police department going to do? If we now look at the number of people that have changed their diet, the number of people that are now more conscious about not doing something that's going to cause them to get diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, cholesterol, and any of those other illnesses, chronic illnesses that are affecting our community. This is huge. So we're waking up, because we don't. There are not many people walking on the planet who just raise their hand and say, hey, I want to die. I hope I get COVID so I can die. Right. No, you really hope that you get through it, because you got some other stuff that you want to do, some other stuff that you need to do. So that was one aspect of it. So the health thing with America telling everybody, if you have a pre-existing condition, you're more likely to die. And now it's like, oh no, I got diabetes and high blood. Doc, how can I get this diabetes up off of me? How can I do this? How can I do that? And so it was kind of rewarding to see our people in empowering themselves to overcome health challenges that they were okay living with, because really you didn't know that somebody had diabetes if they were treating it with chemicals, pharmaceutical drugs, and they looked halfway decent. You just didn't know. But now all of a sudden, if they got the COVID, well, they're gonna say, well, it was because you weren't taking care of yourself that you got the COVID, and now you're dead. And again, I don't think people want to die. And I tied that in with the George Floyd, Minneapolis, murder of this gentleman. And all of a sudden you got this influx of Black people saying, I want to support just Black business. So now we got, Black people wanting to eat healthier, people wanting to support a Black business, and whoo-hoo, look who shows up. E-Life. We've been here for 25 years. And this is in the midst of COVID-19, in the midst of other businesses shutting down and not being able to, maintain themselves. We've been able to hold on, and we're very thankful.
Yeah.
What's very interesting, and we're thankful as well, because it's not just a restaurant, it's like a hub.
Right. It's a culture hub.
Yes.
That's what I call it.
And so what's very interesting, I'm listening to you, and it's like, on one end you have, before all of this, the COVID, the pandemic, people saying, oh, we're gonna die anyway. And then the pandemic happened, and it's like the very thing that they were pretending not to be afraid of, you find out that they actually are afraid of, because it's now like, how do I stay alive?
Right.
Whereby before it was, we're gonna die anyway. You know what I mean? So I feel like, as you were speaking, I'm like, I feel like this situation actually brought out like some authenticity. You know what I'm saying? Because I think sometimes, Baruch, what you were saying, we're dishonest because we don't want to take responsibility. And so when you were saying that, it's like, be dishonest. As long as you could just deflect and be like, no, then you don't have to take on the responsibility. So as you were speaking, I was like, yeah, that makes no sense. On one end, you're saying so, and then the other end is like, help me survive this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's like being in a swimming pool. Somebody who's in a swimming pool and they're drowning, they're not just going to go to the bottom and suck in a wad of water. They're gonna fight to survive, and that's what this
every natural sense in your body gonna fight to survive.
Right, and that's nature's first law. Nature's first law is survival,
self-preservation.
Self-preservation.
Right.
So this has been a great journey for us, because it's been an opportunity for us to educate people, but it's also been an opportunity for us to connect with our customers in a more intimate way. Again, the number of people that come to me and pull me aside and say, Doc, what do we need to do? I mean, the number of pastors who have come to me and said, Doc, I want to tell my congregation the right thing. I'm hearing what's going on. I'm afraid. I'm concerned. I know you have a perspective. I respect what you do. Tell me what I need to know, and what you think I need to be telling my constituency.
Yeah. Doc, what do you say to those who will say like Black people, we don't support one another in business. Do you find that to be an accurate truth or no?
Well, it's kind of hard for me to say yes when, if you come to everlasting life, that's who's coming through my door.
Mm-hmm.
I think Black people are supporting the business, and I think it has a lot to do with the legacy, the history that we've created puts us in a position where people remember coming here as a child, and the reason why their parents came here is because they knew that eating this type of food was going to improve their quality of life and increase the length of their life. Yeah. And I think that's easily and arguably something that all of us would desire. Nobody wants to be sick. Nobody wants to get sick and die. So we've been teaching this message, and I think now you just got this calamity that has hit us. We got this tornado that blew through the community, and now all of a sudden we're afraid. People are really scared. And on the one hand, we don't want people to be afraid because a lot of people are making really bad decisions as a result of the fear. But on the other hand, some people are making really good decisions because they're like, okay, it's like going to the medical doctor and he says, look, if you eat one more cheeseburger, you're going to have a heart attack and it's going to be over. And, hopefully you got your finances in order because, you don't have the discipline not to do it. So we expect you to do it, and now people are saying, hold up, but maybe I do have control. And my thinking has always been, when that old saying goes that, well, whenever my time comes, it's just going to come and I'm going to leave the planet. Well, I was always concerned about that, that I think how I live and what I do has a whole lot to do with, how long I stay here.
Your quality of life.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So I think COVID-19 has put it on people's minds. And now it's up to us to use this opportunity to translate that into, or convert these people, not just into one-off customers, but to convert these people into lifelong customers and lifelong lifestyle changers who say, no, enough of that. COVID-19 changed my life. I stopped eating all the food that I knew was giving us high blood pressure, heart disease, and diabetes.
Now, a lot of people are following the news, and some of them, like you said, there's a lot of fear, right, mongering going on, right? There's a lot of fear that's kind of being projected out there. So I want to talk about some advantages, right, to this space, which is what we say the pandemic that we're going through right now. Let's discuss what are some of the advantages that you've already touched on, probably like one or two, like some advantages that you've observed that Black people should be focusing on, maybe jumping on, not the disadvantages. Let's talk about the advantages.
Sure. The advantages, okay, let's talk about them first in the health space. The advantages are that we see now we have control, or we can have control. And we can take control, and we can affect our life and quality of life.
Yes.
So on the health side, that's where I see the advantage. That's where I see us moving forward. Another positive is I see us coming together and communicating more. I see people, not only, even though we're being told to stay 6 feet apart, I really think we're about tired of that. Especially when they got us staying 6 feet apart and they got our children 3 feet apart in school, and you flying on an airplane, over us, next to. So we're about tired of that. It's like, okay, wait a minute. How long are you gonna keep us on this ride? Before we just get off. But so I think the empowerment is also in the space of looking at our lives. We're looking at our lives differently. We're looking now through the what is this, the post-COVID lens, and it looks a little different, because we've seen how hundreds of thousands of people have left the planet, supposedly all, as a result of, contracting COVID and dying. And now it for some of us, we're recognizing, well, life is precious. you know, and
Yeah.
the life of my family is precious, and I don't want to take it for granted. So the number of connections that we're making, the number of groups that we're connecting up with, the number of people that we're interacting with, you know, it's evolving, and I think that's a positive thing. Now on the financial side, because we're talking about the black dollar, I do believe that at the end of the day, even though it's tough, man, it's tough to think that black people are more willing to listen to the man who's represented more pain, suffering, and woe for them than any other person on the planet. They would be more willing to listen to them again, you know, in the wake of this drama that we're going through. But I see a lot of people that are leaning over and listening and like, what'd you say, Doc? You said that, you know, this isn't a real vaccine, and this thing opens us up and leaves us open, and that if our child gets vaccinated, then when they have a child, that child will of course be given the DNA of their parent. And that's serious. So people are wanting to get the right instruction, and I think that's bringing us together. And economically, I think the black business, the black community, I think that there are some things that we could have done. We should have jumped on top of gloves and masks and anything and everything in that space. And although we see it now, I think we missed the big curve, even though it's ongoing now, because now you still got to keep your mask on. It'd be nice if one of us owned a mask manufacturing, and I'm not talking about the $15 mask, I'm talking about the 50-cent mask.
Yeah.
You know, that one of us owned that 50-cent or 25-cent mask company where
Mass producing.
Yep.
And we can no longer use the excuse of we don't have the resources. That's
right
out the window. When we flowing trillions of dollars through our hands annually, it's no excuse. So that's not the issue. We have the resources and means to get the job done, to do what you just suggested. Opening up manufacturing industries, doing our own trading across seas to our brothers and sisters on the mother continent, you know, things like that. It's possible. It's more than possible. But it's the will and changing our mind to really believe that, because too many of us really don't believe that it's possible. And that saddens me.
Well, I think also we're not in control of the narrative and the media. So the media is still controlling this thing. That's why, you know, they got to keep COVID hot in order for us to have value and need this vaccine. If they don't keep it hot, we're going to go back to life as it was. So they have to keep this thing hot. They have to tell us when the numbers are going up. And again, what they're telling us is the number of people contracting the illness is going up. But it's not that the number of people contracting the illness are dying in any greater numbers. You know, we're still talking about something, if their numbers are correct. And we always have to put the if in front of it, because we're not the ones who are collecting the data. No, we're getting the data from people who we know cook the books.
Blind faith and trust.
Right. And so there's a whole lot. Again, I think it's a great opportunity for us to position ourselves in our community as more of a community. You know, it's clear that, you know, what we hear about the racism in the hospitals where people are being mistreated, people are dying that shouldn't have died, but they weren't given the proper treatment or support or services there in the hospital. You know, that's a big deal. So it makes people say, well, you know, I'm sick and tired of that. And you may have seen a post that is going around on the internet where it says, you know, you think a lot of people are dying from police brutality. How about the number of people are dying at the hands of medical doctors? That Black people in particular. That's a crazy high number. And again, it makes us look into ourselves, you know, because it wasn't but 100, maybe 120, 30 years ago that we couldn't go to a hospital. And if a doctor was coming to see us, they would have to come and knock on the back door and sneak in and give us whatever services or whatever we needed. Because again, we weren't in that class of people. And now we're at a point where we could actually draw strength from all of that wisdom that grandma gave us, where we were scraping bark off the tree in the backyard and pulling up some poke weeds and using vinegar and using Father John and triple
The stuff that
60.
actually cure
Absolutely.
your ailment completely.
Right. Right. And I think that's what people are looking for. They're looking for, okay, how can I empower myself without being dependent upon a system where I'm suspicious? Who wouldn't be suspicious? I mean, we've gone through Tuskegee, we got the Native Americans and the blankets and smallpox, we got AIDS, and all of a sudden, remember when AIDS was this, oh my God, the whole world's gonna die from AIDS. And now where did AIDS go?
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that you got AIDS and you've had all this time, 40 years, and there's no vaccine for AIDS. Come on, man.
And medical maltreatment even in present day. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
and we playing Russian roulette with our lives.
Right.
Taking, taking into us a concoction, and we don't even know what's in it, and we can't really know, like you was alluding to a little bit, Doc, because the information is not out here, the proper information, because they're censoring. The major corporate-owned media entities are all they cahoots, and they censor anybody's voice and it's a lot of professional voices out there sounding the alarm about this vaccination. Doctors and scientists and attorneys and everybody else, but you can't hear from them because that's not the narrative that they want you to hear.
Right.
When you turn that TV on and watch that news channel, all you're gonna hear is get the vaccine, or you're gonna die. It's crazy.
And I think, again, a position where we could empower this audience is, we haven't had the best relationship with vitamin D. We didn't know what is vitamin D. What's all this talk about vitamin D? I got melanin in my skin. I got vitamin D. I'm good. I can sit out in the sun and I don't have an issue. Well, the fact of the matter is we're at a certain latitude and longitude away from the equator, right? And because of how far we're away from the equator, we don't get the concentration of vitamin D and sunlight that we would get if we were living down closer to the equator. And as a result of that, and plus walking around like we do, with long sleeve shirts on and coats and hats and gloves, and parking our car in the garage and going down to the garage and getting to our car and driving to work in the garage and going upstairs to the office and, never going outside and getting that sunlight. We're so deficient in vitamin D. This whole conversation and the narrative that gave us those that have this predisposed or pre-existing condition was really those who had low vitamin D levels were more susceptible. And this whole concept of the flu and cold season, there's no such thing as a flu and cold season. What it is a lower vitamin D season. So when that vitamin D is lowered, you find people, their immune system is not as strong. So they're more susceptible. So they come down with more stuff. So we should really, again, this is a way that we can empower our community. We really, unfortunately, we can't get it from food, like at the level that we need to, and we're not down there on the equator. So we need to supplement our diets with vitamin D. And it was documented. I can't remember the specific doctor who said it, but I could provide that information. He said, people with medium level vitamin D do not experience what they call a cytokine storm, which is this storm that people are experiencing in the hospital who come down with the virus. They don't experience this storm of mucus that is being expressed out of the lungs and choking these people to death. They don't experience that because they have sufficient levels of vitamin D in their body. That's if there's one thing that I would want to get across to this audience, it would be, the top 3 things I think that we need to focus on right through here in talking about Black empowerment, Black economic empowerment, and Black health is vitamin D, and vitamin D across the board. We can be.
What are some of the basic things people can do too, Doc, as far as strengthening their immune system through their diet and what they're consuming on a regular basis, or maybe what they shouldn't be consuming?
Well, it's that we should be more focused on eating for nutrition and nourishment than we are eating for taste
Pleasure.
and culture and pleasure and what we're accustomed to and what's convenient to us and what's inexpensive and what's being marketed to us. We should qualify what goes into our body like we qualify what goes into the gas tank of an expensive sports car. You don't put cheap gas in an expensive sports car because you know what you're going to get out of it. Well, the same results happen inside the human body. So the big thing that we should focus in on is now qualifying our nutrition. So the big argument, the barriers to eating healthy. And so many of us latch hold to these barriers. Oh, it doesn't taste good. Oh, it's expensive. Oh, it's nothing in my neighborhood. You go through all of these lists of things that people just, it's going to give me the runs, or, all these things that people talk about that prevent them from consuming healthier food. And now it's time to, again, begin to shift that energy and to take this opportunity to launch ourselves out in the space and say, no. Look, if you eat this way and properly supplement, you will protect. It becomes the vaccine. You've effectively vaccinated yourself from the virus by strengthening your God-given immune system, and then not working against yourself with, this poor diet that we consume.
Yeah, because everybody out here is not getting sick and dying from COVID.
Right.
There's some people that are in optimum health, a lot of people that are not afraid because they understand that their bodies will do what it was designed to do for them because they fed it properly.
Right.
So
Right.
we were since we're discussing the black dollar, I know we talked about like AlQamar was touching on the resources is really out there. I think I come from the perspective that it's not the resources that's kind of the thing that's in the way. I think it's us figuring out how to unify to a certain degree. I think that's really what's that, because if I don't trust you or I don't love you, I will not combine my resources with yours, Dr. Baruch. You get what I'm saying? So I feel there's a lot of that out there. But how do you think we can go about shifting that mindset? Because I am done with the macro level of this. To me, I'm just like, get on the micro, find some like-minded people and get to work in that sense. So how do we begin to shift our mindset from one, I don't have a whole lot of money to contribute, or two, I don't know you like that. I'm not combining my money with yours. How do we begin to shift that way of thinking?
I think when you have an abundance, all of a sudden, a couple of those arguments go away. When somebody's looking at you and they're like, I don't know you like that. You just made how much money? What? Oh, maybe I better know you though. How can I get involved? And you saw that play out in our community with these flowers and pyramids, right? People they got you on the invest $200 and make $25,000. And I was like, oh my God, who would not want to do that? But so unfortunately that damaged our trust, but it at least showed that there's blood running through our economic, blood veins in the body, that we do have the desire and motivation to improve our economic status. We just have to find the right tools and have the right system to plug into, and also a realistic income or a realistic revenue stream off of it. I think if you take the community and tie it to the businesses in the community and let the people make money from the success of the businesses that they already are doing business with, or that they are doing more business with now than they were before, that you're building a relationship on the front side as a customer, on the back side as an investor owner. And all of a sudden, you're closing this loop. And I think that's one of the ways that we can do this. We now need to take the power that we have of the media and begin to shift the conversation in a way that empowers us rather than a way that empowers the dude at the top, whoever that dude is. You know, and I don't mean that in a spiritual way, I mean that in an economic way.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoever it is that's at the top of whatever it is somebody's trying to market to you is the one that's going to make the most money. No, we need to figure out how to empower our community collectively. And all of a sudden, when you collectively empower your community, the conversations and the debates and all the discussion about, well, I don't trust you and I don't want to do business with you because I don't know you like that. When you see somebody making some money, it's like, okay, well, maybe, okay, yeah, here's my $100, here's my $1,000, because I saw this work for you. So we need to demonstrate that it's doable. And we need to engage it, we need to promote it, and it needs to be sound. It doesn't need to be another gimmick. It needs to be a sound process that we can engage. And I think the best thing for us to engage in is, again, those socially redeeming businesses that exist in our.
He's breaking up.
Oh, Baruch, you're breaking up.
He's still going strong though.
And you have
if you can hear us, you might have to go out and come right back in, Doc.
it would have been nice if you froze showing your shirt, sir.
Can you hear us? If you can hear us, log off. Doc, yeah, okay.
Okay.
I'm right back on.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties, family.
Yeah. He'll be right
How
back.
y'all doing out there? Are y'all enjoying the program thus
I
far?
see a few questions. I think some people are just asking about the food piece.
We
So
talking
when he comes back, he'll be sure to get to your questions.
We talking to Dr. Baruch. He's the owner and operator of Everlasting Life Vegan Restaurant and Lounge, 2 other locations in the DMV area. And we just kicking the breeze about this COVID and the black dollar and how we collectively bring our resources and our money and together to create power, you know? And I, for one, feel like that's what time it is. What we waiting on? You know, who we waiting on? We realize ain't nobody coming to save us but us.
Pretty much.
Good. Nobody out there. He is. Dr. Baruch back in stride again. But we were talking about, I wanted you to go in, Doc, a little bit about how we start to trust one another more and work with one another and do business with one another more. And you are a really good example of one of the ways you can do that is your incubator thing that you do there at Everlasting Life, where you take on vendors like myself and other vendors that make a decent living there. And we do bring them in and allow them to sell their wares there. And then you've been with other Black-owned businesses who have other products that and desserts and things like that. So how does all that help to, and you just had the brother there this past weekend that's about to be in the Safeway, all the Safeway stores and Giants with his Black-owned vegan patty, vegan burger. But I'll let you talk more. Well, why do you do that, and why is it important?
Well, our mission as a business was always to at least have 15% of our our food source and other vendors be Black. We always wanted to have at least 15%. I would dare say we're probably at 65%. There's so much that we get from people that look like us. And I'd like to take it to 100%, but, and when we do that, you empower people. I watch how the young lady who started with me making cakes opened up her own restaurant. Wow. And that happened 2 or 3 times with people who worked with us, went off, started their own business. We became their first customer. And they grew, and now they're all in Whole Foods, and they're all over the place, with what they have. And we're doing the same thing with other vendors. We that's always my leaning. If you come to me and you look like me, I'm like, okay, what can we do to work this out? How are we gonna work this out? And I want you to be smart. I want you to learn from my experience and my knowledge. So I want to give it to you so that we can build together.
Yeah.
And what you were talking about with regard to the Black Wall Street Renaissance. It's exactly what I wanted to create. It's the incubator space where people can take an idea, they're broke, they don't have much resource, they take an idea, they can make some super shea butter though. And they could make 15 shea butters, and they know if they sell these 15 shea butters for $20, then the cost of vending is nothing. And now all of a sudden, now they got some cash flow in. They got some business cards that they printed up, and now people are knowing who they are, and they're getting their products and jewelry and clothing and books and anything in that space. These are resources that our people need and are looking for, and now they have a place where they can come and get it. And they're vendors that look like them that they can do business with. Where we're building our community, because at the end of the day, a person that's broke is going to figure out how they're going to eat. And at some point they might hit you over the head because they say you got some money. So you begin to see how that trickles that away, and that goes away as a result of it. And in fact, if Black businesses hired Black people, if we just focused on hiring Black people, and we had the business of all of the Black people in our community coming through and doing business with us, there would be no Black unemployment.
That's right.
You know, think about it. How often do you see a Chinese person in an unemployment line? You don't see it, because they support their businesses, which means there's income that is there to hire whomever. And I'm going to tell you something that has happened with COVID. And there are people who are coming to me and saying, Doc, they are requiring that I get the vaccine. I'm not getting it. I said, okay, well, you know, I that would be the decision that I would make for myself. You know, so what's up? Will you hire me if I lose my job? Absolutely. I'll hire you. And I'll take your expertise and combine that with the business that we've already developed, take us to a new level so that we can then be able to afford you at the level that you were maybe being afforded at out there in corporate America, and you don't have to miss a beat.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good stuff.
But we have to take the power. So this is a global reset, this financial reset that's taking place. It's the best time for us to position ourselves to move up.
Yes.
We do not need to sit back and just wait to see what's going to happen and hope that we survive it. No, we need to be taking advantage of this opportunity to move up, to create the world that we want to create for ourselves, to create the economy, to create the business relationships, local, national, international. We need to work to establish that now, while this under the smoke screen of the global reset, under the smoke screen of the pandemic. We need to use this opportunity to position ourselves to blow up. And then all of a sudden, when all the dust settles, it's going to be like, whoa, well, we weren't expecting y'all to, you know, be in a better position. Yeah, well.
Well, what do you think about the political realm as far as all that goes? And is there any salvation there for us?
Well, it's a tough thing, because, you know, there's some people who say, you know, the only way that we're going to change this whole political thing is by going inside of it and affecting change. And there are people who really believe that that's how this happens. I'm not sure whether anybody's had a whole lot of success with that, because once you get on the inside of this machine, you have to operate as the machine is currently operating. But I don't say that to negate the pursuit of political empowerment in our community. I think we do need to be politically empowered. I'd love to have a politician come by and say, "Hey, Doc, what do you think about this? And would you be okay if I okayed a new building being built, you know, next door to you?" But we're not even in that conversation, because we're not contributors to campaigns. We don't have political power. We don't.
Oh, you muted, Doc.
We struggle with that.
Yeah, I think a lot of it too. Oh, I just lost my train of thought.
So I think politically, economically, I think health-wise and culturally, we have an opportunity to elevate our game, and I think we should. And I think we excuse me.
No, I was going to say, I think you used the right word, which is reset. There has been a reset. You know what I mean? And what is a reset? A reset is an opportunity to kind of start fresh, in a sense. You know what I mean? So when you were saying reset, I was nodding my head like that's the perfect word to describe what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you reset, you scratch everything. It's like no matter what you were working on, no matter where you were, no matter what applications you had open on your computer, when you hit that reset button, it's zero. And we start from here now, and everybody's on the same level. And now we're leveraging one another, and we're growing with one another. We're building relationships with one another, and we're making a better world for our children.
Yeah.
AlQamar, you was gonna ask something?
Sorry. No, I was going back. I had remember what I had wanted to say in the previous. He went over that, past that though, but about the political power part. And I was saying how what we don't normally do is we don't build them up from the grass roots. Those people that's been the Tay-Tay and them, that's been a little bit sharper than everybody else in the neighborhood, but he love you and he loved the people, and to build them up to go into them political arenas, to do their thing, somebody you like, know, and trust already. But what we do is we pick from the pool that's already out there, and most often, most of them people just got a selfish agenda. The reality is, when I get in there, I'm gonna have the money, I'm gonna have the fame sometimes and the prestige, and that's what they really be going for. So I think if we took more and put more emphasis on building folks up from the grassroots to go out there into the political arena and serve on our behalf like that, we'll have a better track record, I think. Maybe.
Well, not only get them into the political arena, but hold them accountable once they're there. Mm-hmm. That we can't just, many times, the last thing politically we did was this presidential election, and then Black folks are sitting on the couch looking at the television like, oh, okay, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? What's gonna happen? No, we need to be still participating to make sure that what we wanted to have happen, which is why we voted for whoever we voted for, is gonna happen. And we don't do that. We're not known for understanding that follow up and follow through to make sure that what we put them in office to do is what they do for us.
Yeah.
But that's education. We're not knowledgeable about economics. We're not knowledgeable about politics. We're not knowledgeable about health. Right. And these are things, as children are now at home and being taught by their parents, or being homeschooled, or being schooled through, from people throughout the world. You find people being taught from teachers in Africa. They're teaching people over the internet. It would be great to now reset the curriculum. Yeah, we need reading, writing, and arithmetic. I get that. But we also need economic empowerment. We need political empowerment. We need health. We need home economics. And we need to understand the importance of relationships, and family and community.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. So those are things that we could do where we take control and become the thermostat setting the temperature rather than the thermometer and just letting that, yeah, it's getting hot in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You spoke a little bit on the selfish piece, just kind of everyone being about having their own agenda in mind in pursuing like political office and so forth. But during the pandemic, would you say you've seen where people have begun to maybe relinquish a little bit of that selfishness and maybe are trying to connect with others because we realize that is the only way for us to really gain power? Or are you seeing that people are even more fearful and is now holding on to what they perceive as the little bit that they have?
Well, I'm going to tell you from my perspective. Mm-hmm. I can see it in my own restaurant.
Okay.
I can walk next to my customer and my customer will almost lean towards me as I walk by, because they see this relationship, they see this connection. They're coming to my house to have dinner.
Okay.
But let somebody walk through that door that they don't know and they want that 6 feet of space. So there's something to the integrity. That we don't feel like, in general, the people in our community have the integrity and are protecting themselves enough for us to feel comfortable that they would protect us, or that I'm protected in their space. Mm-hmm. But people will come in, and again, because of who I am and what I represent, for not only as a business owner, but a healthy restaurant owner and also a naturopath, there are people who I watch it play out, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting how you were really circumspect about people standing around you, but I can come and it's almost like, well, I know you're not sick. I know you're healthy, and I know you're doing what needs to be done, and I know you wouldn't hurt me, and so on and so forth. So I think it's both things are happening at the same time. And I think we need to, as leaders in the community, we need to start bridging those gaps and maybe taking his hand. He's okay being next to you. She's okay with being next to you. We all right together. We're all right being connected. And that's something that our leaders need to do. This is not a time for divisiveness. This is not a time for trying to separate the fat from the skinny, the tall from the short, the dark from the light, the Caribbean from the African, from the American to the, no, this isn't the time for that. This is the time for us to now begin to see the common thread that runs through all of us, either through our experiences or through just the way that we are, our culture and the way that we conduct ourselves. It's time for us to bring ourselves together and see the power that comes with that. It's no different than the expression, there's strength in numbers. You come into a fight, you got more guys coming to the fight, you got more power. Your chances of winning are likely. And so I think it's a matter of us teaching that. We need to teach that. And we need to use every platform. We need to get through into the political world, the economic world, the social, and we need to be protesting, but also not just protesting, but then coming home and moving forward. We need to protest because that's obviously a platform that gets a lot of attention, and we could get that attention, but we can't let that be the end all. It's got to be that we come back home and now, okay, we got that. Let's go call the politician or call whomever and make sure we leverage the fact that we were able to do this and make this, take this opportunity to move us forward.
Yeah. And eating healthy, people need to understand. Sorry, Alqamar. Eating healthy is a form of protest.
Oh, yeah.
People need to understand that. That is there's so many ways to protest. Like you taking your health into your own hands is a form of protest. I just kind of wanted to put that in there.
You would mention that because just today I was thinking about that too, how we dress can be a form of protest.
Absolutely.
As well. So you know what I'm saying? And I've thought about how, me personally, I like making the statements on my shirts that, know what I'm saying, that is in opposition to out here what's in this society, and it's a form of protest. Yeah.
And eating food that is not healthy for you and dressing in ways that is not appropriate or does not portray the right positive energy that we need in the midst of us is what I would say, is when the coward, just gives in and says, you know what, I lost. And says, I can't fight this fight anymore.
That's what I wanted you to talk about. We went right into it. I wanted you to the people who are listening, who may be listening in and feeling like, they just don't have hope in the future where we are. They see it as the glass is half empty. And, there's people out there who really feel that way. And what's the use? Oh, well, you know what I'm saying? Because things seem to be so dire. What would you say to those type of people?
Well, I think the first message is that we connect with them. So for me, I've always seen the business of doing health and wellness in our community as like the front of the line of the warfare that's being waged against us. And I remember when I first started and people said, are you crazy? You're going to leave your corporate American job and you're going to go out there and do that. Well, I think after somebody's already blazed the trail, it's time now for those trailblazers to reach their hands back and pull others up. And not everybody's going to have the stamina or the ability to withstand all that's going to come our way, except that somebody's already cut the path and now they can walk in a space that, doesn't have the same kind of threat associated with it. So I think those of us who have the integrity, those of us who are leaders in the community need to bring the people up. And we need to raise them up. We need to raise their awareness up of what really is going on. We need to not be afraid to speak. We need to not be afraid to convey the truth. but we also need to not be so narrow-minded that we shame the people, or that we cut off the very people that we're trying to lift up.
Right.
And that's something that we do a lot of. You know, we will make somebody feel like an idiot because they, you know, what, you're going to take this vaccine? You must be out your mind. Well, that might be a conversation that's appropriate for those of us who all agree, but for those who don't, you know, I always tell them, I said, it doesn't matter if you take the vaccine, you still want to be as healthy as you possibly can. You know, so I think the coming together of our community is paramount. And I think the strategies that we use to come together are, there are people who people trust. And there are people in our community that have integrity. There are people in our community who are gonna always draw the eyes and the ears of the people who want to figure out how to work this out. You know, you think about biblical stories, you know, when Moses talked, they probably all listened, you know, because that's how it was. And I think it's time now for the leadership to raise up. You know, we don't have but a few leaders in the Black community in the United States of America. It's time for our leadership. It's time for us to groom leaders, and it's time for those leaders to raise up and then chart the path that the people need to be on so that we can get ourselves out of this situation.
It's time for our leaders to unify.
Right. That's true.
It's time for
separation is not going to win. If we are separated in any way, religious, economic, it doesn't matter. If we're separated, then we're just weakening our hand. It'd be much better for us to come together and strengthen each other and show that we're all in the same camp and we're all supporting one another than it would be for us to, you know, demonstrate that we're, you know, I don't agree with what that idiot over there is saying. And I'm not in support of that, and I'm not aligned with him. That doesn't benefit us. It would be so much better if you say, you see that whole mob of guys over there? That's my crew right there. Don't mess with me.
You know what? I always say to that, Dr. Baruch, I'm with you, that division piece. We got to really start to let go of some of this, you know, separationist thinking, you know, because you don't agree. I think of it like if you, AlQamar and I are driving in a car and there's a set destination, and I'm like, you know, I take this way because I feel that's the shortest way and the easiest way, and we avoid traffic. And Baruch, you decide you're gonna go around. AlQamar is just there enjoying the ride because there's a category of us that's in AlQamar position where it's just like, just get us to the destination, please, right? But we're driving, and I'm like, this is the best way. You're the driver, though. You decide to go that way. At the end of the day, when we arrive to that destination, right? Because that was the intended goal. That's all that matters.
Right.
That is all that matters. But what happens is we want to be in the car, and you know, I said, well, Baruch, if you ain't gonna go in the direction that I want to go in, let me out the car. I don't want to ride with you. Right. And then we put AlQamar in a situation where it's like, y'all crazy. Right. Now AlQamar don't want to be in the car. No, Baruch driving by himself, mad, cussing everybody out. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I'm probably gonna turn around and go back home. Not gonna even go to the destination. And I'm like, it does, the destination matters. I don't have to agree with everything. I don't. What is your intended goal? You trying to get to that red house with the gold roof? So am I. Let's figure it out. So I'm with you on that one. I know we're at 9 o'clock. So Baruch, the Black Dollar and COVID, do you have any parting words for us and for the listeners? What do you want us to leave here with?
Well, you know, there's an argument that we don't spend our money with ourselves and nobody else spends their money with us. I think we need to stop depending on anybody outside of ourselves. I think we really need to focus in on ourselves and our community and those that look like us, and figuring out a way to market to them and attract them to what we know is a good thing. But I think that's also something has to be qualified in order to say that it's a good thing. Because if I'm over here selling something that's not good for you, if I'm offering something that's going to damage my community, then I don't know that you need our community support. So I think there needs to be accountability on both sides. We need to effectively market, and we need to have a machine in place to encourage our people to engage this thing. Because after you do it, you know, what is that? 21 days, you develop a habit. So if we get people in the habit of doing this thing, of coming here for Black Wall Street and supporting or doing business, not supporting, but doing business with people that look like us, we change the world. I think the COVID conversation, the reset conversation is just make sure that we're not just at the whim and we're just going to be blown by whatever the powers that be have decided they want for us. I think we have to decide now what we want for ourselves and use this reset and this COVID-19 as an opportunity for us to change our circumstance, relationships, economics, education, politics, the list goes on. We need to change all of that because now you can do it and you can always just blame, I'm doing this because of COVID. Yeah, I'm just doing this because of COVID. And all of a sudden it works. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. And we can launch a lot off of this opportunity. In the midst of this crisis and this chaos, we can create a really nice outcome for our community. There we go.
Ashe.
Thank you for that, Dr. Baruch. And thank you for coming on. AlQamar, you have anything else for Baruch before?
No, I just wanted to really briefly just say how important schooling is to all of that, which you just described, Dr. Baruch. Getting children while they're young, like you said, making it systematic after 28 days. I was thinking when you were saying that, imagine in school, children, pre-kindergarten through 12th grade, that's what they're learning, how to be systematically stronger and powerful as a people. You know, so I just think we should be thinking about them babies and what's going in their heads.
Right.
So the next generation can be a lot in a much better position than we are now.
Yes.
And that's our responsibility to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they're banking on us to do that for them. And if we don't do it, they're going to default to this self-destructive pattern that so many of our children are defaulting to. And that's our fault. You know, they talk about the children have changed and they're just wild and out of control. No, the parents changed and let the children be wild and out of control. Because I raised children during all this time when all these children were doing all these crazy things, and my children aren't doing that.
Ashe.
All right. Well,
that was a candid conversation. We went all over the place, but it was a good hearty discussion that I think we needed to be had. So family, please share the information. It does us no benefit if we just hear this and do nothing with it. Because as Dr. Baruch been saying throughout the whole hour, sharing, getting together collectively, we all on the same accord, and other people are watching that just based on your willingness and openness to share with others, they can then too benefit off something that may have been said today. So please, let's all do our part in getting the word out. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Baruch, for coming on and joining us. It's always a pleasure. And thank you for sharing your knowledge with us and with our listening audience. If you like what you're hearing, please make sure you follow the Empower Hour page. And like AlQamar said, make sure you share the information. And until next time, we will see you guys on Monday here at 8 p.m. live. Until next time, peace.